Hey everybody! I wanted to show you guys one of the things that I like to make with my xTool D1 Pro. This is definitely my favorite project to make if I'm going to sell it. So this is a really good money-making opportunity, and I'm going to walk you guys through this project right now. So let's get started. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to close up the enclosure, open my exhaust fan ducting, turn on the lights and the fans inside there. I'm going to turn on the air assist and I'm going to start the project. So these are the pieces that I've already cut. This is solid walnut. Because I have a woodworking shop, I have the ability to resaw and plane this down thin. This is, I think, over 4 mil. I cut it in 2 passes. I'm going to show you the other lantern that I made out of the 3mm birch plywood. And you can buy walnut plywood, cherry plywood, all of those sorts of things to create stuff like this. I just have a whole lot of kiln dried wood. I am going to coat the insides of these with some shellac because I don't want them, even though it's kiln dried and it shouldn't move a whole lot. I don't want it to warp. So while we're cutting out the top, this is nothing exciting. I'm just got a 1 pound cut of shellac, and I'm just gonna coat the insides. So I created this lantern basically on my own. I didn't use a pre-made file. I made the actual box on boxes.py, which is a website that you can enter in your dimensions and it will ask you a bunch of questions. You can tell it, how many sides you want it to have, how many fingers, the distance, the thickness, all that stuff. Mine should be fairly consistent thickness, but it also wasn't exactly 4 millimeters or 5 millimeters or whatever it was that I told it was. So I did have to take a little piece of, I used just a cutoff of the same piece of wood, so it was the same thickness, with a piece of 220 grit sandpaper in there. And all I did is I just went through here a couple of passes, and that was enough to make these fit really nicely. So all right, so we've got those done. I guess I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of shellac on the bottom. It's not going to hurt anything if I glue a piece in the center to kind of hold the little battery operated tea light. So again, I'm only doing the inside, and you probably want to do the inside when you're doing plywood as well, just so that it doesn't warp. And if it does warp, it should hopefully warp relatively evenly because it's finished on both sides with the same thing. Okay, so that's that part. I'm going to grab the other piece out of the enclosure. All right, so this just came out of the enclosure and off of the laser bed. So that was a nice cut, like that. And all my little pine cone bits look like they came out nice too. Okay. Sometimes you just got to get it to, it's cut all the way through. Although that one looks like maybe there was just a tiny bit of where it didn't get through the grain all the way. And if that happens, you can just clean that up with a little X-Acto knife. It's not really a big deal. And sometimes the grain is just a little bit goofy. It doesn't always cut along the grain really well. There we have our top piece. And I want to test it. See, I'm probably going to need to, this was out of the same piece of wood. Probably going to, actually, that is not bad. I might not need to do anything with that. Okay, nice. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and coat the inside, and it doesn't really matter to me which side is the inside here. They should be identical. Of my top, which is a pine cone. And for the inside, I have kind of a lot of different options. The first lantern that I made, and I will show you guys that as well because it was out of just standard 3mm birch, or it was I think it was basswood plywood that I got off of Amazon. I bought, these are cut up pieces of cheap school folders, just the two pocket school folders. And then I just taped them with some double sticky craft adhesive tape stuff on the inside. So you can do colored ones. So like for this one, I had red, yellow, and orange, which looked kind of interesting. So you can see what that's going to look like. But I have a color changing candle, which I think is going to look really neat in here. And therefore, I'm not going to use the colored ones. If I just did a straight white battery operated tea light, I think that I would use the colored ones. But I have some vellum, which is, let's see, this is actually called multimedia drafting film. And this has got a little bit of a plasticky sort of a feel to it, more so than some of the other vellums. Lori did not enjoy this for drawing on. It was too slippery. So she gave me the leftover bits, and I think it's going to work out really well for what we're doing here. So this is a roll of Crafter's Square double stick craft tape that I got from the Dollar Tree. Ideally, I want to go all the way around the design just to make sure that it sticks well. This one's a little bit close to the edge, so I might have to maybe trim these in half. All right, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go along the edges here. Make sure this covers everything before I undo it. All right, I have all of my things cut out. I did go ahead and cut out a little, basically just a little holder. We'll just kind of keep that in place. So for the assembly, I'm going to use Starbond thick CA glue. Hit the back side with a little accelerator. And then I'm going to do my best to line this up. I know my head's going to be in the way. Sorry about that. That's all right there. And I'm not going to assemble, I'm not going to glue the cube to the bottom. That's how you're going to be able to get the candle in and out. So for right now, we'll just set that aside. Oops, maybe. And I think I'm going to do the sides together first and then put the top on last. So I should get my things in the order that they go here, which is going to be like this. And for assembly, I'm just going to put a little glue. I've got a pretty nice tight fit with this. I don't want a whole lot of squeeze out. There'll probably be some, which is why I haven't finished the outside yet, so that I can do that if I need to. I haven't sprayed any accelerator on anything yet because I want to be able to manipulate this just a little bit. Okay. And the last guy is going to go on here like this. Okay, now I need to get them all squished in nice and tight. Actually, if I had put some shellac on the outside, I bet the CA glue would wipe off better. Sometimes it can stain, so do be aware of that, but I'm not going to worry about it too much for this. Okay. And test for this. Looks like we're going to be all right. I'm just going to go for it. So again, just putting some CA down in the gaps. Oops, that's not the gap. Silly girl. Okay. Now my pine cone goes on top. Okay. Okay. So there we go. You can see that it came together pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot of expense involved in the supplies. The design possibilities are pretty much endless. You can modify the shape of the lantern itself. You can do whatever designs you want on the inside. Just make sure that you do use a battery operated tea light and not an actual candle inside an enclosed wood thing. That would be bad. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, y'all be safe out there.